Yes, I'm here again for another interesting edition of my book review. I remain Deaconess Joy Awatu. If you are new on this channel, remember to subscribe to my channel, like the video, and also share the video. You can also drop your comments on the comment box. Now, the book I want to review today is one of the books written by my favorite author. And my favorite author is Reverend Chris Christian, the Shepherd of Mankind. Now, the book I want to review today is titled The Relevant Leaders of the Last Millennium. The Relevant Leaders of the Last Millennium, written by Reverend Chris Christian, the Shepherd of Mankind. Reverend Chris Christian is the General Overseer of Locust Army International Church. He's a prolific writer and he's a preacher of God's Word. He has written 256 books. I said 256 books. This year, October 2021, he launched 26 new books at a go. And that 26 new books was written under 5 months. You can see why he's a prolific writer. Reverend Chris Christian is a sacred eunuch. He lives in Lagos, Nigeria. The book, The Relevant Leaders of the Last Millennium, was also published this year, 2021, by Shekinah Media House. And this book has 10 chapters. As usual, I'm going to review them chapter by chapter. So don't go anywhere and listen attentively. Chapter 1 of this book is titled Becoming a Relevant Leader of the Last Millennium. Chapter 1 of this book says, if we must be relevant leaders in the last millennium, we are expected to know what the millennium is all about. Knowing what the millennium is all about should help leaders to know what they ought to do. Those who are ignorant of what the destiny of this season is all about must not be given leadership mantle. What made Apostle Paul unique and prodigious in the dispensation of grace was his deep insight into the mysteries of Christ. Not having access to the mysteries of Christ in the dispensation of grace declared the Pharisees blind and sinful, and also separated them from God. This chapter 1 also says, leadership is not meant for blind, ignorant, and confused people. The preparation of the hearts that gives leaders access to the hidden secrets of God is what makes them relevant in a season. Leaders who arrived at any important place followed a revealed path to it. Leaders are expected to build their faith on revelation. Revelation shields leaders from the spells of discouragement and weariness. It is not always difficult to follow leaders who know the way. Chapter 2 is titled Leading with the Relevant Revelation of the Last Millennium. Chapter 2 says, the last millennium is a messianic millennium. It is a millennium that is consecrated to establish the rule of Jesus Christ on earth as the Lion of Judah. Anybody who desires to be a relevant leader in this messianic season must have an unusual access to this particular truth. Those who desire to impart this season must have access to the unrevealed truths of Jesus Christ's second coming. Being ignorant of what this particular season is all about and still wants to be relevant in it will attract frustration. Leaders provide light with which the people see in the midst of darkness. Having understanding of time empowered John to stand in a gap to preach Jesus from the blind Jews. The price men should pay to access all that God desires to unveil in this season is why some people can be part of leadership in this prophetic millennium. The nature of this age and its complicated challenges are making demands on courageous leadership. It is not given to the disenchanted and discouraged to impart an age that is ordained in wrath. Whatever men are willing to pay to unravel, God will lack the strength to hide. Now, chapter 3 of this book is titled Relevant Leaders Are Light Bearers. Chapter 3 of this book says, bearing light qualifies leaders for leadership. Jesus Christ was the greatest leader of all times because he is the light of the world. The destiny of every season is hidden in the light of the season. It was through the light of Jesus that the dispensation of grace was declared. The dispensation of vengeance is waiting for relevant leaders who have His light to declare it. No leader can be more relevant than what he knows about his season. The difference between those who are relevant in a particular season and those who are not is what they know about the season. Nothing remains the same when enlightened leaders are raised. Leadership is all about accomplishing purpose and solving problems. Leaders are sacrificial people who give themselves to those they lead. The sacrifice we make to lead is what made us relevant leaders. Leadership is not about being in charge. It is about serving. Those who have not discovered the purpose of their individual lives must not lead. A leader who doesn't have anything in his following must not be followed. We can evaluate the worth of a leader through his dedication to another leader. A leader must take a place of learning and submission if he desires to be followed. Now, chapter 4 of this book is titled, Leaders Achieve Relevance Through Hard Work. Chapter 4 says, leaders accomplish their leadership assignments through hard work. The face of the earth is altered when God raises productive and valuable leaders. The privileges that leadership provides for leaders to influence the lives of those they lead must encourage them to be hardworking. Our achievements speak and create opportunities for people to believe in us. Leaders don't only have eyes to see challenges, they also have the motivation to tackle problems. Laziness is an abomination in the lives of leaders. Through laziness, indolent men deny the purposes and efforts of God in their lives. God believes that the people are enormously blessed when they are graced with good leaders. We can't keep ignoring the daunting challenges before us and still desire to be relevant. Relevance is meant to be achieved through our accomplishments. The productivity of productive leaders creates opportunities for God to achieve His purposes on earth. All lost seasons lacked men who had what it would have taken to declare them. Chapter 5 of this book is titled, God will raise controversial leaders that will finish mysteries. God will raise controversial leaders that will finish mysteries. Chapter 5 of this book says, having access to the unrevealed truths of God makes leaders controversial and weighed. It also makes them powerful and relevant. It is the truths that men can access in this millennium that will qualify them to lead. Those who are normal in abnormal times must not be allowed to lead. If this age and its destiny must not be lost, God will undeniably raise relevant leaders to discover and introduce the age. An age is declared when its life and destiny are declared through its light. Those who have access to the hidden things of the age wear the crown of the age. The lion age awaits men to be declared. The age of vengeance needs intelligent, foresighted, and courageous leaders to be declared. Enduring the rejection that being controversial attracts can only be contained by courageous and heavily inspired leaders. Seasons are protected by their secrets. It is through the unveiling of secrets that relevant leaders introduce themselves. Those who don't have strength to stand oppositions might not share power with Jesus at his return. Now, chapter 6 of this book is titled, Relevant Leaders Are Devoted Seekers. Chapter 6 of this book says, devoted seeking enlightens the eyes of understanding of relevant leaders. God doesn't hide himself to devoted seekers who have what it takes to access them. To stand in front of people is not for nonchalant, ignorant people. The uniqueness of the apostolic grace and strength of Apostle Paul emanated from his access to the mysteries of Christ. He had access to the truths that were hidden to the sons of men from the foundation of the world. Willingness to pay a great price to access hidden truths is what separates relevant leaders from those they lead. No man is more relevant than his seeking grace. How powerful we are is controlled by the depth of secrets where we hide ourselves. The first approach to every successful leadership is self-preservation. The kind of effort we make to get what we want is controlled by how important such a thing is to us. Nothing makes leaders vulnerable like leading without secrets. Not having access to God's secrets makes leaders powerless and irrelevant. Chapter 7 is titled Following a Follower. Following a Follower. Chapter 7 says, the relay baton of life and destiny that is with us must not be destroyed by following men who are not sure of who or what they are following. The lives of leaders are preserved as they follow those they are sure of who or what they are following. Anyone who is not following another spirit or person must not be allowed to lead. Those who follow confused and unstable leaders sow their precious lives to the wind. Men save their lives as they dedicate their followership to the relevant men or spirits of the millennium. Nobody can be separated from who he is following. God believes that he has blessed us when he connects us to visionary leaders. God raises great leaders from great associations. Joseph was resolute in saying yes and no to life options because he was sure of where he was looking at and what he was saying. All who took the mantle of leadership from their leaders connected to them through their personal values and harvested potentials. The man who is following a prominent leader to take a leadership mantle is as important as the leader he is following. Chapter 8 is titled Relevant Leaders Provide Solution to Challenges of the People. Chapter 8 says, leaders depend on what they see and their willingness to be an answer to achieve so much for the people. God doesn't raise leaders except there are challenges before the people. God puts crown on leaders based on the answers they bring to the challenges of the people. Relevance and usefulness qualify men for leadership. The numerous challenges Jesus Christ provided answer for people. That was why he became the most relevant leader that ever lived. This millennium will be doomed if selfish people who can't provide solutions for its numerous challenges are made leaders. The problems of every season are made and sustained through blindness and visionlessness. And so, anybody who desires to provide solutions to them must depend on vision to achieve it. If blind leaders lead the blind, they will all fall into a ditch. Not seeing anything clearly is why many lives, generations, and cities are grievously afflicted and subdued. Seeing the future of the people clearly is an important factor that qualifies leaders for leadership. Now, chapter 9 of this book is titled God Will Raise World-Class Leaders from Ruins. Chapter 9 says, this millennium is a millennium full of surprises. Like in the days of Jesus, God will raise world-class leaders from the neglected areas of the earth. However, God will depend on his divine deposit in these potential leaders to raise them. Those who desire to be raised must provide for God the value he must depend on to raise them. Proficient leaders lead with the harvested values of their individual lives. Leaders are as important as the divine deposit of God in them. Developing the divine deposit in us qualifies us for leadership. Desire to lead must inspire us to pay the price for leadership. The divine deposit in us is what determines what we do for God. The divine deposit in men determines the kind of support they get from God. The negative power that subjects men to ancient ruins needs courage, determination, and hard work to be dealt with. If we ignore self-development, we will never meet with God. Those who ignore the developed values that will enable them to lead will never be part of any reasonable leadership. Finally, chapter 10 of this book is titled The Earth Needs New Leaders. Chapter 10 of this book says there must be an unavoidable birth of leaders with a new mindset to tackle the biting challenges of this controversial millennium. The new leaders need to be weighed and controversial to lead with the controversial challenges of this season. Conventional lives can't exercise dominion in controversial seasons. Anybody who desires to lead in this millennium must identify with the mysteries of Jesus' return. The destiny of this millennium will not be declared until those it is given to declare it take responsibility for it. This millennium will not preserve any leader who is not part of establishing its destiny. God will establish the destiny of this millennium through what he gets from us, and it is all that God gets from us that will preserve our lives. Different millennia are introduced through different men. God will raise new leaders who must be virgin enough to buy into new revelations and ideas. New leaders need a lot of courage, not only to disagree with the existing doctrine, but to also introduce the new doctrine. The ruling spirit made in anger is a fearless spirit. This book is a must read. You need to get a copy for yourself and read it in between lines. Now, to get a copy for yourself, you need to visit Shekinah Media House at Locust Army International Headquarters Church, located at Locust Army Bus Stop, Ado Road, Ajah, Lagos, Nigeria. Or you can call these phone numbers 080-381-38751 or 080-3377-8843 to book your copy. You can also visit www.shekinahmediahouse.com to get the soft copy. You can listen to Reverend Chris Christian live every Tuesday, Fridays, and Sundays by 12 noon through his YouTube channel at Reverend Chris Christian. You can also listen to him on the following radio stations: Inspiration FM channel 92.3 every Sunday morning by 6:30 to 7 a.m. Urban FM channel 94.5 every Saturday by 9 p.m. Wave Power FM channel 106.5 every Saturday by 9 a.m. Wave FM channel 91.7 every Saturday by 9:30 to 10 a.m. You can also watch the Chris Christian on DSTV Wazobia Mass channel 259 every Saturday by 12 to 12:30 p.m. Thank you so much for being part of this interesting edition of my book review. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like the video, and also share the video. You can also drop your comments on the comment box, and see you again in my next edition. Bye.